Yo, how's it going, everybody? I just wanted to come on and just explain. I've been trying to contact loads of different professors and Anglo-Saxon scholars, Beowulf aficionados. It's literally impossible. I can't get hold of a single one. I've tried. They're like, oh yeah, very interesting, that's great. Yeah, I'm too busy to do anything to might question everything I've been teaching for the last God knows how long. But yeah, it's it's very interesting, you know, when you're presenting something different which can be proved. Like my evidence is actual evidence. They haven't got any. I think, you know, either they are literally ignoring it because they think that they couldn't possibly have missed something that someone else might have seen, or they just like won't listen to anybody outside of academia, which is seems to be a really big problem, massive problem, because it kind of narrows the field of vision. No one's looking into things that aren't being taught within university courses, which are wrong. Quite simply, they're wrong. And yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, I kind of feel like there's a part of me that just thinks I've just got to ignore all of them, like, you know, as in like don't bother trying to contact them because they are too set into this stone walled university castle. I don't know what to call it, but I can't conquer it. I've been trying, and you know, unless you can get anybody to just even listen. What I have done now, which is fantastic, I'm proud of myself for this, is I've written the book, and I now know for sure that at least sort of 50 people out of the, say, 150 that I've sold since I've released it have read it and understand it, and it's now going to have opened their mind to these possibilities. That was my plan, really, was try and get it into as many minds as possible. So I've got to do an awful lot more work selling as many as I possibly can. And once people have read it, then they'll be like, oh, okay, right. I see why he thinks that it was all based in fact, and you know, now I've seen all the characters and the charters and the references and all the evidence that he's put through. Yes, like it does seem highly likely that, yeah, Beowulf was a real life man and that he lived in Anglo-Saxon England and was somehow connected to Egbert and Aethelwulf and Judith and Ethelbald, Ethelred, Alfred the Great. You know, that entire era, Egbert, they're all in the manuscript and no one sussed that out. That's the bit that I can't quite get my head around. How have they not sussed that out? How has nobody seen that those three brothers of Hygelac, which translates to ruler of the waves, and it's a title, you know, how have they not seen it? You know, that Aethelred, Aethelbald are Herdred and Heribald, and that Alfred is Haethcyn, which means wilderness king, which he famously is. Egbert is Ectheo, Offa is Offa, Beowulf is Beowulf, Wiglaf is Wiglaf. It's kind of pretty obvious, like, you know, and they're like, yeah, there are some characters that fit in the Scandinavian thing, but it's all set in southern Sweden. So it's like, no, again, you got that wrong. The Geats were in Gotaland, Geatland and Gotland. They were all part of the Scyldings. So Scyld Scything became Shield Sheathing in the Beowulf Manuscript, and the Scyldings were all over. They're recorded as being in a part of England. So Geatland was in England, Gotaland was in Sweden, Gotland was in Gotland, and all the Geats were in all of those places. But there's also evidence in the text that states it takes 2 days to get from Geatland to Danish lands. And that wouldn't make any sense at all. If they were in southern Sweden, it'd take them like a few hours to get across there, not 2 days. It also says that when the Geats and the Swedes are fighting, it implies that they're fighting across a water wide. You know, unless you're trying to imply that the author of the Beowulf manuscript is writing it in England and that they're both across the water wide. Again, that doesn't make any sense, because there's no ocean in the middle of Sweden that separates Gotaland, what they're saying is the south of Sweden, from the north of Sweden. So and it says, and feud on either hand across the water wide. So it's trying to imply that they're fighting across an ocean. And that's right if you put if you put Denmark and England, which would take 2 days to get from England across to Danish lands. So yeah, you know, there's plenty of evidence in there, and there's one bit where Hygd comes to Geatland and ends up at Offa's Hall. Now Offa famously was Anglo-Saxon. He was an Anglo-Saxon king. He wasn't a southern Swedish king. So like, there's another cracking bit of evidence that Hygd is Judith, and Hygd means like the caring, comforting. And Judith is the next book in the Book of Exeter that follows on from Beowulf. Trust me, I have a full understanding of this subject. So like, like literally, I'd be willing to debate anybody on it now. I know all the characters inside and out. I know who they really were. I even know like actually where they were in reality. You know, like that's the whole point of the book. It's trying to kind of outline that for people, that the geographical descriptions within the book match perfectly. I mean, not just a bit, but perfectly, alongside a bunch of evidence that's, you know, that literally states Bao lives eastward from Ham. And then you've got all this other stuff, Anglo-Saxon pagan burial grounds, Morling Hill getting its name from Maelingas, Morling, one of the earliest churches which was given by Ecgbert, and then Beddingham, which is just around the corner from Morling. It's on the same hill land, it's like below Caburn. That was a Royal Saxon minster that was of Offa's, who's in the manuscript, and that's where I think Hygd came to. And Hygelac is it means the ruler of the waves. And the one other thing that people seem to have got incredibly wrong, although some people have translated it correctly, is talks about Ecgtheow, and then it says him, Hrethel the Geatman. So and what people have decided in the modern academia is that Hrethel is a different entity to Ecgtheow. He's a different person. That's not true. Ecgtheow is Hrethel, because it says other people have translated it as to him Hrethel the Geatman gave his one and only daughter to his battle brave son, and so that changes the identity of him into a separate person. But if you understand that Ecgtheow, him, Hrethel, he, the high ruler, Hrethel is what it means, is what that means, the high ruler, the high Aethel, the high noble, Hrethel, Aethel is the noble. So like what it's saying is Ecgtheow, the high noble of the Geatmen, gave to Beowulf his one and only daughter to his battle brave son, and it's not his actual son, it's his stepson. And then you find that Ecgtheow is fighting with Beowulf in the Battle of Ellendon. I think it's Ellendon. He's not fighting against Beowulf, as is said in all of the other things. So if anyone actually can pass this on to somebody that might absorb it without saying, oh no, like I've did 2 years study on it, so I know more than you. I've done 7 years study on it, and I know the characters and the wording inside and out. So trust me, in this I'm right. Hope everyone's all right. Take care. Bye.